Dear brothers and sisters, I welcome you all to see this video message. Today, prophecy prayer point for 50% of women reservation in politics in India for state assemblies and in parliament. Why we should pray for women reservation in politics? Because women have 50% of population in India, but they have mere only 9% of representation in state assemblies and only 14% of our women MPs in our parliament. So we should pray for to improve and increase up to 50% of women reservation in politics. This video have 3 parts, like from 40 minutes and 30 minutes and 20 minutes for technological problems. Kindly go through that. If any clarification, go through the description. That is easy for you. Why women need reservation in India? In gender gap index, India ranks at 114, even Sri Lanka comes at 79. In human development index, India ranks at 135. Are we proud that this great civilization ranks that low? So consider women's reservation bill as a necessary evil to redress our falling gender ratios. India has a 50% female population, but due to the societal prejudice and discrimination faced by them over the centuries, the female populace is underprivileged and backtrodden. Without empowering 50% of our population, we can never become a superpower. We don't understand what kind of a world we live in, where we don't want to recognize how underrepresented women are in politics. Any corrective measure to check and sort this imbalance has to be a high policy objective for any just system. Women parliamentarians are supposed to be representative of us, the people of India, and 50% of population is women. She will additionally take care of 20%, that is infants and teenage population of the country, as she will inherently feel strongly about children than male counterparts. In a nutshell, we are giving voice to approximately 70% of population through 50% of reservation. Women power remains unutilized. If all women go for productive jobs or services, our GDP will increase and will develop our country. China developed fast. It is partly due to use of woman power. But women are one of the most downtrodden section of Indian society, irrespective of caste, creed and region. She was always subjugated by the male members of the society. Our parliament is also skewed with respect to minority religions and women. 7 decades since independence, participation of women in national politics is still quite poor. Many talented women are not allowed by their own family to achieve big in life. Giving reservation to women for representing themselves, we are helping them to contribute to nation building, which includes 50% of them. it is a correction, not a favor to them. Women reservation affirmative action should be implemented in such a way there is no hypothetical tokenism or symbolic participation. Bringing more women into politics as analyzing the impact of reservation in Panchayat, where women reservation has been there since the 73rd Amendment. Reservation increased the number of drinking water facilities, sanitation and irrigation pumps across the Indian villages. Granting a reservation cannot be a permanent solution to a problem in our patriarchal society. The first thing is this disparity is much more quantitative than qualitative. Women are not asking for more seats than their percentage in population. So there is no question of unequal treatment. Reservation creates the space for women to build their skills, becomes role models, network and share their problems and solution. Childcare in a 50 to 50 households without the judgmental eyes of the man-dominated society. The issues of women empowerment should start from the bottom, who have no education or employment. The political empowerment have started immediately after independence, but it has not reached the deserving people. The right to vote at the time of independence was granted only to the rich, the landlords and the taxpayers. Dr. Ambedkar, however, envisioned that elections were a weapon in the hands of the most oppressed section of the society for demanding politico-legal equality for the oppressed. The 1937 provincial election were limited by property ownership and had given the vote to only about 30 million Indians. There were, by contrast, 173 million eligible voters in the 1951 elections in independent India. Nehru was without question the chief architect of our democracy. He made have every citizen's voting rights. Rich people and landlords criticizing Nehru's ideology, but now after 70 years everyone repeated these voting benefits. In the same way, now people will criticizing women reservation, but after 50 years our generation will see the developed India by empowerment of women. Empowering women is the only way to bring the issues faced by women into center of Indian political, economic and social narratives. Providing reservation to women in education, jobs and politics is the only way to empower them in India. The women are not asking for men share of opportunities. They are simply asking for their share that they has been occupied by men all these years. Why do we need women magistrate to jurisdicate against rape cases? Why should the Minister for Child and Women Welfare have to be woman? Because women can understand the problem of their community better than men. Men can sympathize with them but never feel their pain. To conclude that women by their very nature are more sympathetic, caring and responsible. They are more potent to give leadership by assimilating all and pay heed to every voice, and so we should believe the way they are awesome as housemakers, they would be brilliant as a nation maker too. What is the expected outcome of women reservation bill? Number 1, the girls with the zeal to study which prevents school dropouts due to poverty. According to Government of India survey, 5% of girls tend to drop out of school in comparison to the male counterpart. Number 2, uplifting the age bar of marriage from 18 for women. Number 3, population growth will be controlled by education. Number 4, stricter laws for crimes against women. Number 5, will stop female infanticide, domestic violence, and dowry death. Number 6, liquor ban will occur. Number 7, woman-centric policy decision will occur. Number 8, women workforce will increase. Number 9, widow empowerment will happen. India with an estimated 56 million widows with the largest number of widows of 10% of women population. Tamil Nadu and Kerala have highest of 6.5% of widows in their population. Number 10, increased police responsiveness to crimes against women, improvement in children's nutrition and educational outcomes, and increased women's entrepreneurship. So, women reservation should not do with sympathy but empathy and solidarity from society. Instead of building weapons of mass destruction, perhaps we should spend the money on development issues such as nutrition, health care, education, water supply and sanitation. Why women leaders needed in India? Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievance, Law and Justice in its 36th report has also noted that due to 1/3 of reservation of seats for women in Panchayat and Nagarpalikas, actual reservation rose to 42.3%, quite higher than the reservation percentage. The track record of women representatives have been commendable and other concerns regarding misuse of positions proved baseless. The research found that women were slightly less susceptible to corruption. On average, villagers were 1.6 percentage points less likely to pay a bribe to the police or officials when the sarpanch was a woman. Women leaders invest more in policies and programs women care about. Women may have different preference about public goods than men. Communities in India with gender quotas for local village leaders had more public good overall than communities without quotas, and female leaders invested more than male leaders in public goods, linked to women's concerns. Female political representation in local government makes women more likely to come forward and report crimes. Female leaders' policy preference not only differed from men but also differed from one another based on geographic location and caste background. Gender quotas for women in local government bodies can improve women representation in politics, increase provision of public services, and improve perception of women as leaders. Quota will improve men's perception of women as leaders, increased the aspiration of girls, and helped women get elected even after quotas were removed. Women leaders' investments lead to improved women development outcomes and women's entrepreneurship. Without women reservation, achieving a proper balance of power in India will take centuries. Participation of women in politics. There was one woman MP for about 8 million Indian women in 1952. By 2014, This was one woman MP for more than 9 million women. More women in parliament and state legislative assemblies means better, stronger and more representative democracies that work for all the people. We urge for greater political will in adopting well-designed quotas and electoral systems that eliminate any legal barrier that might be hindering the opportunities for women to enter policy decision-making role. Odisha Biju Janata Dal government introduced a resolution in the state legislative assembly proposing 33% reservation for women in parliament and legislative assemblies. No household, no society, no state, no country has ever moved forward without empowering its women. Odisha Chief Minister Navin Patnaik was quoted. In many constituencies of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Mizoram, women voters have outnumbered men. According to the report published by Economic Times, there is a 4% jump in women voting in MP from 70.11 in 2003 to 74.03% in 2018, while for men it rose from 73.95% to 75.98% in 2008, amounting to a 2% rise. When it comes to Chhattisgarh, women voters were reported higher than men in 24 seats out of 90 constituencies, which amount to 30% of the entire constituency in year 2008. Among social groups, Adivasis and scheduled caste were more likely to vote for women as compared to other caste groups. In a time where women are finally getting aware about their rights and are raising their voices for equality with bursting power, it is very heartening to see the slow but steady rise in the number of female voters. Female participation in voting is growing every year, and that is very desirable trend that women moving towards public role. Analysis of data for 4,265 state assembly constituency over 2 decades to 2012 revealed that share of state legislative assembly seats won by women increased from about 4.5% to close to 8%. In a country where access is determined by gender and caste even more than economic status, these development changes among women are remarkable. Women have been historically disadvantaged in the political decision making process in India. There are exceptions. Madam Indira Gandhi, Madam Sonia Gandhi, Madam Jayalalitha, Madam Mayawati, Madam Mamata Banerjee, etc., to name a few. The problem of dynasty politics is already present, and it is unfair to release it to Women's Reservation Bill. In the 16th Lok Sabha, 2/3 of the MPs under the age of 45 already had a near relative in politics, and the younger Congress phases had almost all inherited a parliamentary seat, usually from a parent. 70% of women MPs from across all the parties were from dynastic background. All of the Samajwadi parties, 5 MPs have family ties, as do more than half of the YSR Congress parties and just under half of the Telugu Desam parties. Another disadvantage faced by women is the reluctance of major political parties to give more tickets to women candidates. Despite having greater chances of electoral victory, women are not preferred as candidates by major political parties. In the 2019 Lok Sabha election, the Congress gave only 13% of its tickets to women and the BJP gave 12% of its tickets. Majority of the female candidates contested as independents are from smaller parties. Parties like Trinamool Congress and the Biju Janata Dalam, which given 30%, 37% and 33% of the tickets to women respectively, have done a far better job than our larger parties. This trend continues in state elections despite the fact that in 2019 women candidates had a success rate of 11%, which was substantially higher than the 6.4% of men. Another interesting statistic is that while women made up only 9% of the candidates, they won 14% of the seats, indicating that women significantly outperformed men. Indian political parties must realize their critical role as gatekeepers in women political participation. Fundamental reforms at the party level will serve as a necessary and strategic complement to the Women's Reservation Bill. Even if the Women's Reservation Bill is derailed further, it should not stop political parties from making internal structure more conducive to women entering politics. These measures will ensure that the passing of the bill does not translate to mere tokenism and results in true empowerment of the Indian woman. An alternative to women's reservation is the idea of ensuring reservation within political parties. Countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Sweden and Norway reserve seats for women within the political parties. Each political party that is fielding candidates in a particular election be forced to field women candidates in at least about 50% of the constituencies. We could make it mandatory for all political parties to nominate at least 50% of women. We could penalize political parties that don't have at least 50% of women in the parliament or assemblies. This will increase the chances of women winning many seats owing to a higher number of women candidates from top political parties, whereas it will also ensure that good candidates do not have to shun the opportunity to compete. Why Women Reservation Bill stalled in India? To give women a voice and to empower them, 73rd and 74th Constitution Amendment Act of our Constitution gave them 33.33% of reserved representation in Panchayat and urban local bodies. However, the legislation to reserve 1/3 of seats in parliament and state legislatures has always been stalled since 1996 when it was first introduced. The reasons for much procrastinations are male dominant society. Our patriarchal society never wanted women to take a lead role and not ready to work under them. This attitude of ours is reflected in opinion of our representative at parliament. Fear of loss of job. Men MPs are who were poor performers but somehow managed to get party's ticket and win seats may lose their jobs once their act is passed to accommodate more women in the party. fear of loss of black wealth. Women ministers may not cooperate in depositing illicit funds, and hence it will be nightmare for those who dream of sleeping on the bed of cash. Absence of agitations and movements. Thanks to the ladies for maintaining law and order situations, adopting only prayer and petitions but no protests. Women representation bill is languishing in Parliament because Rashtriya Janata Dal and few other parties asked for further division of the reservation on SC/ST and OPC lines and demanding quotas within quota. This is really a valid point that we need horizontal reservation along with caste group among women according to the proportion of population of caste group. Once again, we let not allow this woman reservation only to upper caste Brahmin women and to prevent their oligarchy, hegemony in women participation in politics, employment and higher education. Reservation is a very important step towards women empowerment, and it surely helps in their social emancipation. Achieve women empowerment by women reservation. India have poor representation of women in the workforce in junior, middle and senior management levels. Failure to allow women full access to the labor market is an underutilization of human resources that holds back productivity and economic growth. In many places, women are abused mentally, physically, verbally, sexually and psychologically, which deprives her from society and pave the way for further isolation. If more potential workforce of men is added to the economy, then only it will help us to grow faster in India. Usually economic growth goes hands in hand with emancipation of women. In a male-dominated society, women are rarely encouraged to seek jobs outside their homes. There are also biases against certain jobs which lead to poor participation of women in the labor force. Women participation in the workforce is lowest in India. Countries like Bangladesh have about 55% of participation. Women in India are less than 30%. This is shameful for a modern nation aiming to be a superpower. As per section 149 of the Companies Act, women to be included in the board of directors of companies. However, a recent study by Deloitte has shown that only 12% of the boards are filled with women representatives. This should be changed in our country. A number of reasons inhibit women to gain formal employment, that includes lack of skill-based education, occupational segregation, bias and socio-economic barriers. As a result, women engage in unpaid or low-paid work or do not participate in income-generating activities. In most cases, they are only able to take on employment in the informal markets that do not fall under the scanner of government regulations and offer exploitative working conditions. Also, the availability of work is subject to seasonal activities around agricultural and does not offer reliable year-long engagement. India has failed to address the role of gender in policy making. Female labor force participation, that is FLFB, in an economy is the measure of women currently engaged or willing to engage in income generation activities. FLFE rate as an economic indicator is identified as a reflection of economic opportunity for women and an exercise of their human rights. According to Economic and Social Survey of Asia and the Pacific 2015, countries with high FLFP rates have shown increased gross domestic product, that is GDP gains, and its degrees linked to losses in GDP per capita. The study found that rising women's participation in the labor force to the same level as men can boost India's GDP by 27%. But female labor force participation in India has declined from 34% in 2006 to 24% in 2020. Even Bhutan and Nepal have higher rates of female participation, higher than India. According to the UNGC, United Nations Global Compact India study, India is the only country among the 153 surveyed countries where the economic gender gap is larger than the political gap. Gender stereotypes and lack of infrastructure has traditionally sidelined women from core manufacturing functions. As a result, not many are able to reach leadership roles. Sri Ambedkar is a genius. He has done more for women in India for their rights than any man in modern India. Many don't understand the implication of that, the things we take for the granted today, like property rights. Ambedkar concluded with his wisdom that the way to fight discrimination was by reservation. It is genius that he saw to that the discriminated not only need the compensation but also a guaranteed share of opportunities of the future to ensure that such discrimination does not occur in future. Today we just need to understand the problem of discrimination of women needs the same protection as the other vulnerable society. Spreading the seeds of opportunity in every girl child is the only way bring them out of the vulnerable state they are in today. Government needed to ensure policies and procedures are made to adapt to various life changes in their employees, including maternity, changing care, needs for the women empowerment. It is necessary that more and more women take part in politics and enter legislative bodies from where they can better improve the state of conditions of marginalized and helpless women. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Here I stop this video. Again the part 3 will come by the next day. Kindly pray for this women reservation bill. 50% of participation in politics should be enacted in our parliament and executed in coming years in our state assemblies and in parliament. Amen.